Hello, everyone. My name is Jordan Myers, and I am a program coordinator with the FIGS program. Today, I'm going to be showing you a 20-minute demo lesson plan, and along with that, you'll be seeing a little debriefing of my full lesson plan. Before we get started, I just wanted to say a little trigger warning. The content and discussion in this lesson will engage with mental health and sexual violence. It will be emotionally and intellectually challenging to engage with. I will do my best to make this classroom a space where we can engage bravely, empathetically, and thoughtfully with its difficult content. For the peer instructors watching this demonstration as part of training, please be aware that there are other content available to review. Moving forward, this is what I would say to my students. If you have any issues with discussing this topic for personal reasons, please email me or talk to me in advance so we can arrange an alternative assignment. Now, I would like to share my screen and jump into my 20-minute demo. Welcome back to Exploring Creative Writing. It's so great to see everyone again. Today, we're going to be delving into the realm of mental health and how writers deal with these difficulties. Many of us use writing as a mechanism to cope with our mental strain, and I know I specifically have a journal that I use for that very purpose. You've probably heard about writers who have struggled with their mental health. So let's talk about some of these stereotypes now. So I wanted to ask everyone, what do you think some of these stereotypes are? Suzanne?
Oh, I feel like there's a lot of famous writers that you hear about being like alcoholics or like having really problematic histories with like alcohol and drugs. Like Ernest Hemingway, I think he was famous for drinking a lot or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anybody else have any other stereotypes to think of?
Like someone that's like a recluse and doesn't really engage with others.
Absolutely. One more person? Lori?
I was going to say, like, the idea of the tormented artist comes up a lot, and I think as a trait, maybe that writers or like artists in general tend to be very depressed. Maybe that even like helps them in their art.
And Karen, I saw you had your hand raised. Did you want to add to that?
No, everybody covered it. Thank you.
So we definitely don't want to link these negative qualities to writers. There's no scientific fact that writers or creatives have to be depressed to create good content. In fact, many writers can use their art as an escape or an outlet. I want to emphasize that one's mental illness should not define them. Because you struggle with depression doesn't mean you're going to excel at writing, or vice versa. And although some writers have earned fame from discussing mental health issues, there's no correlation between mental health and writing ability, and we don't want to glorify these notions. My last question is why, however, might people with mental illness, or just people in general, turn to writing? Why do we turn to writing? Annie?
I know I personally write when I'm really stressed, and sometimes these are like issues that I don't really want to share with anyone, so writing it down for myself is a way to reflect and also just de-stress, but keeping it private.
Absolutely. Priya?
I think writing is super therapeutic. Just like Annie, I always write down when I'm feeling super stressed, but also whenever I have like a lot of thoughts in my mind, I like to write down so I know exactly like how to center my mind and how to like collect those thoughts.
Yeah, it's really important to have that outlet. Does anybody else want to reflect here? Susan?
I think maybe the reason that it's therapeutic is that when you're feeling helpless, like coming up with the right words to describe your feeling gives you like a task to work on. It makes you feel like maybe more in control, or it gives you like something productive to do with those feelings.
Definitely. Sharing. So now that we have talked about using writing as an outlet, we know it's one way of taking care of ourselves. So I'd like to dive into an activity, a meditation activity. It's typically 5 minutes, but I'm going to cut it down to about 3. All you have to do is sit back and close your eyes, and we're going to do a little meditation activity. And after that, we're going to do a writing exercise, so please have a pen and paper next to you.
Hi, my name is Kimine. This is a short meditation to gently inspire your inner writing spirit before you start writing. So, whenever you feel like procrastinating or scared of uncertainty in writing, this is a great way to remind yourself of the now moment of your writing, rather than the future with unknown outcomes. Let's bring ourselves to the present moment. Ensure that you are sitting in a comfortable position and keep your back straight. And close your eyes. Take a deep through your nose and breathe out slowly through your mouth. Repeat quietly in your mind. I am here at the right this moment. Keep breathing slowly and deeply. Imagine the powerful line of air all around you is reaching every cell in your body while you inhale and exhale. Every breath you take, this powerful light as a pure energy source flows from the top of your head to your fingertips and toes. Allow this gift of breath to stream down your body. Open your mind to receive the positive energy through your breath. Feel the flow so that it gives you a focus and relaxation in your mind. Just let it flow without thinking. The positive energy grows bigger, filling every part of you with a natural, easy curiosity. Now, I want you to repeat after me in your mind. I am healthy. I feel great. I am curious about the topic I am writing about.
Okay. I hate to cut it short. I know you guys are so into your meditation right now. But we're going to come back together. And I hope that meditating gets you in the mindset of being able to write. So we're going to do a reflective writing activity. Book of all time, The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. In that book, there's an important line that reappears during the mental health struggles of the protagonist, Esther Greenwood. And that line is, I am, I am, I am. It almost sounds like a beating heart. I want you to take the next few minutes to write down the words, I am, I am, I am, and fill in the rest. For example, I am a big sister. Or you can make it a little more creative, like a poem. I am a dandelion standing tall and impermanent in the green grass. Keep it literal, keep it figurative, however you feel is natural. And this will act as your own reflective poem. Try to come up with at least 3 lines with I am in the beginning. And then once you've done that, please give me a thumbs up, and I'm going to ask volunteers to share it. So take the next few minutes to do that. Come up with 3, that's great. But try to hit at least 3. If If you have any questions, feel free to ask. So here they're just going to be writing their I am poem, so I'm just going to skip forward a little bit. Their I am reflexive poem. Is everybody ready to share? Who would like to share their I am reflexive poem? I know it's scary, but we're all friends here. Yes, Annie.
So I think this is pretty fitting for like where we are right now, in our life. So I wrote, I am a student, I am exploring, and I am a star at night.
Great. Yeah, Rutgers Pride. Anybody else want to share? Maybe one more person? I know this is daunting. Karen, thank you.
Sure. Hi. Do you want me to read all of them or just one of the I ams?
All of them. Let's hear it.
Goodness. I am evolving. I am a representative of my ancestors who came before. And then I tried a figurative one, so bear with me, everyone. I'm not really a writer. I am the rising tide, always striving to reach the moon before receding and starting the journey again. There you go.
Love it. Topher, I saw you were raising your hand. Are you still interested in sharing?
Sure. So I'm excited about being here. I'm nervous about not doing well. I am going to do great.
Thank you for that. As mentioned, writing is a wonderful way to be able to express yourself and have a cathartic sense of relief. You should know that while writing is a great outlet, it might not always be enough. That's where Rutgers comes in. Rutgers offers some great services that can aid in your mental health struggles, specifically CAPS for mental health and BPVA for violence prevention and victim assistance. I'd like to specifically zoom in on BPVA. Our final activity will be taking a closer look at how writers can be activists for sexual violence victims. I found an article, which I'm going to screen share in a moment, where writers took abusers' statements of apologies and fixed them through blackout or eraser poetry, making it more of an honest and truthful apology. So I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully we can. This here is about most example is he wrote a statement apologizing for his sexual abuse. She kept only the words. What do you think this effect has? The audience's. Seems like my audio cut out here, and that's probably why there wasn't as much interaction, but that's okay.
I guess it makes you question whether you can trust the original author.
Definitely. Thank you, Susan, for saving me there. Everybody take out a paper with a paper. Everybody see each other's pieces are blank pages. We are going to be creating our own book. Right here, I want to zoom in on. See, you can. So basically here they're just going to be creating their own blackout poetry. And the best to do this here is to draw a box around the word you want to keep. Once you've done that, you can start blacking out the rest of the lines. And here you can doodle around it. Making our own blackout. Poem can be about anything. Everybody kind of has their own novel page, so everybody has a different piece of content. Just be as creative as possible. The next 2 minutes. Okay, next one, give me a thumbs up, or just hold it up so we can all see it. So now I've given them the next few minutes to work on their own blackout poems. I'm going to skip forward because I know I gave them a lot of time. Does anybody want to read what they've kept in their piece? I could go first as an example. So this is from Charlotte's Web. I know a good thing when I see it. A forest, the ground, the creature wet with tears. A very pleasant conversation. Can I get a volunteer to go next?
I'll go.
Okay.
I am seated. I am in here. I have committed to my focus, my hope. Appreciate the story for me. You are where you reside.
Priya?
And I think I had a similar piece to you, which is funny. Okay, it's from Year of Glad. I'm seated in an office. This is a cold room. I am in here. I believe I feel a pleasant expression or smile. I hope carefully. I hope.
That's great. Wonderful. Maybe one more example? Over?
The heart beats faster and harder. That makes it alluring. This compound is found in family.
Great. How did this activity feel for everybody?
Fun.
Priya?
But it was fun.
Andy, did you have your hand raised?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's really fun and it gets you to think about your life in a different way.
So thank you everybody for listening to my lesson plan. If you have any questions, please shoot me an email. My email is jordan.myers@rutgers.edu. MEYERS. You'll find that email in a million places, I'm sure. But yeah, thank you for listening. Okay, everyone. Now that we have seen 20 minutes of my lesson plan, I would like to now debrief the entire lesson plan for you. You'll learn some tips and tricks here about how to lesson plan, and mine is specifically on personal wellness in the creative writing realm. So let me full screen this. Great. So you'll notice that this is my week 3 lesson plan, and at the top right here it says staff observation. So you'll learn more about this at training, but you'll be observed twice during weeks 2 through 5. You will be asked to indicate which weeks you would like to be observed for both a staff observation and a peer observation. And you'll want to be sure that you're teaching full lessons for those classes. And I would say pick lessons that you're specifically proud of. The name of my lesson is Where is My Mind by the Pixies. I would like to say that you should have fun with your titles because these will show up on your syllabus. All of my titles were songs, and I thought that was pretty fun, and it showed my personality. So as previously mentioned, this is my personal wellness lesson, and right off the bat, I want to let you know my thesis is writing can be an effective outlet or escape from our struggles. Now that I'm at my pre-class preparation, I want you to know that you should be as detailed as possible here. It will help you in the future. As you can see, I have copy requests, technology needs, supplies requests, and all that good stuff. It helps everybody involved. Next, we have readings. I wanted to make a note here that I created my own Word document, so I embedded the file right here. Instead of a link, it is a document. The instructions for embedding documents are in the lesson plan template. Because this pulled quotes from a reading that is not necessarily accessible from a link, I embedded it. Anytime you have a reading that is not viewable by a link, please embed it here. I also have a video that I included, which is my meditation, which you saw. So in my pre-class, I play music. I play 15 minutes worth of music, songs that are related to the class content and mood, sorry, I am being interrupted, which is incredibly effective for my class. It set the scene for the day, and it allowed me to connect with my students on a deeper level through music. So in my opening, I personally use a journal to keep track of my assignments, goals, and to keep track of my memories. I wanted to include that because any chance you can include a personal story, please do. This allows students to hear your experiences and connect with you as more than just a mentor or a teacher. So in my opening, you can see that I also have my thesis, which is seen throughout my lesson plan, and you will see my activities and discussions are connected to this overarching idea. Next, we're jumping into the meditation activity, which is a 5-minute meditation activity, which you saw. I found my students loved this meditation. We started class off with it and dimmed the lights. It opened up their minds to begin their first writing exercise. This meditation does not have to be limited to just a creative writing class. You can use it to center everybody's minds for any topical area. Next, we went into my transition. Every transition, you should kind of feel like it's tying one topic to the next. I would say try to make it as connecting as you possibly can. Next, we're diving into my I am activity, which you also saw. I found that I included it in the beginning because I wanted to keep my students on their toes. It is kind of like a foreshadowing discussion. So they did their 5-minute exercise. And then I transitioned to another thing that I said. It's crucial for us to reflect upon our moods and thoughts so we can better engulf them in our writings. So here you can see I'm connecting this piece of my lesson plan to my thesis. So next we're going to dive into a discussion, which you also saw in my video. I wrote here that in general you should make sure you're allotting enough time for your discussions. Each discussion should contain at least 3 questions with expected responses. Sometimes, however, my expected responses did not align with my actual responses, and that's okay. Instead of panicking, you just have to ask your students to elaborate on what they mean, and it actually, keeps you on your toes as an instructor. So, as previously mentioned, this is a vulnerable subject, so it's important for us to communicate with empathy and respect, especially when it comes to personal wellness and diversity. And I wanted to also highlight that I connected my content with my thesis right here as well. Another transition? Yes, we should seamlessly move from one topic to the next without feeling forced. Next, highlighting important parts of the CAP sheets. So you did not see this in my demo, but this is a really important part of my lesson because I introduced them to CAPS, which is counseling, alcohol, and other drug assistance programs and psychiatric services, which is super important for first years to know about. I would say, as a helpful hint, try to be as creative as possible when talking about CAPS and BPVA. Unfortunately, this section felt to be my weakest because of its very obvious connection to the Rutgers element. However, looking back, I think it was still effective because I still gave them important information. So basically what I had them do here was count off by 4s, and instead of doing 1, 2, 3, 4 down the row, I did I love creative writing. And And so when they got into their 4 groups, I assigned them writers: Sylvia Plath, Hank Moody, Edgar Allan Poe, and Virginia Woolf. And then I wanted them to look at their CAPS info sheets, which I printed out for them, and make a referral to their assigned writer based on the information on the resource. So the 2 questions I had them ask are what the resource has to offer to your writer, and when, how, and where to make an appointment for your writer. Instead of having each pair share their answers aloud, I just walked around the classroom and heard their responses. This allowed for anonymity and more time in the future of my lesson plan. Then we broke out into another discussion, and I wanted to make a point here that sometimes as a PI, it's hard to find the happy medium between too easy of a Q&A and too difficult of a Q&A. I am personally happy with the discussion because while the answers are somewhat easy, I'm still gauging their opinions and personal thoughts. To me, this aids in the overall connection between myself and my students. I would say that this is an example of Bloom's taxonomy and the frame of reference where your students are, and you build upon that. So you see like where your students are comfortable with, and then you just keep building on it. So each question got a little more in depth. Another transition, and I would like to point out that this is another instance where my personal life bled into my lesson plan. This is really effective. Like I said, you should always try to have your personal life come into your plans because you're connecting with your students even more through it. Then we have an analysis activity of the bell jar. Basically, this is where the I am poems came in. I kept them on their toes, and now they get to share them aloud. So I wrote here, aha, this is where the meditation exercise comes back into my lesson. So I also had them connect it to Rutgers CAPS. I wanted them to, so this is where that embedded document comes in the beginning. I pulled quotes from the bell jar, and I had them read the passages, the quotes, all of which deal with Esther's depression, and I had them analyze what she's feeling, what she means by each quote, and I had them take the CAPS sheets and offer a rationale as to why CAPS could be helpful for her. Pro tip, the more you can get your students to think about making sense of these services, the more likely they are to use it. Okay, so then once they've analyzed the passages, I had them turn to a partner and share them. At the end of the sharing, I had each pair, I had 3 volunteers share their partner's responses aloud. This is an example of a think, pair, share. Students will share with a partner first, and then I'll ask for volunteers to share aloud. I actually had volunteers share their partner's pieces aloud, which is incredibly low risk. And that means more people are more likely to share what they've already fleshed out, because sharing aloud is vulnerable, so as low risk as you can make it, especially in the beginning of your class, the better. Another seamless transition. And then the VPVA Blackout Poetry activity, you guys saw a little snippet of that. As I mentioned, this does talk about sexual violence, which is very vulnerable of a topic. So proceed with empathy and kindness when discussing this information. You saw the Blackout poem articles, and I projected it on the board because it was more visual and I wanted to save paper. Notice here that I have a bunch of different times laid out in this column. This is helpful to keep me on track as an instructor, and also helpful for the summer readers to have a good understanding of how this will all play out. So you saw a little snippet of the Blackout poetry, and I wanted to say that my students love this activity. It connected them to VPVA while also providing them with their own creative freedom. A lot of my students actually asked for an extra page to do more poems on their own. Then I have my closing, where I talk about my office hours. I let them know that I'm there to talk about anything. I also made an Instagram page, so I just keep reminding them to follow it so they can keep up with updates. And then I have accomplishments. Be consistent with what you taught. I know sometimes it might be tempting to like do this in the beginning, but I would say be as consistent as possible with what you taught. So like do this at the very end. And as mentioned, announcements for the next class, talking about the next class held at the CES office. And that's about it. So I'm coming back to say, thank you for watching, and I hope this was helpful, and I do apologize for the little interruption in the beginning. Good luck, everybody!